Welcome back, children. This is the Part 4 session of Unit 3 Rural Life and Society. Children, in this session, I will be teaching you about the Punjab peasant movement, Champaran Satyagraha, Kheda or Kaira Satyagraha, Mopla Rebellion, and the Bardoli Satyagraha. Okay, let's get started. First, let's learn about the Punjab peasant movement. Children, this movement took place in the year 1890 and continued up to 1900 in the state of Punjab. Children, there was no specific leader who led the Punjab peasant revolt. It was a coordinated effort of all the peasants of Punjab. Is it clear? Now, let's see the causes of the Punjab peasant revolt. Children, generally, peasants borrow money from moneylenders for their farming activities. So also, the Punjab peasants used to borrow money from the urban moneylenders. But these moneylenders charged very high rates of interest. So, what happened was that these peasants were not able to repay their loans on time. And when they did not repay their loans on time, the urban moneylenders abducted or seized their lands. So, the Punjab peasants agitated against the rapid alienation of their lands. So, children, this was one major reason or cause for the Punjab peasants to revolt. Is it clear? Now, let's see the effect of this movement. Children, as usual, there was agitation from the peasants. But the British government did not want any revolt in that province. And the reason is that because this province provided a large number of soldiers to the British army in India. So the British government wanted to protect the peasants of Punjab. So children, since the British government reacted immediately to the agitation of the peasants, the effect of this movement was not very severe. Is it clear? Now, let's see the result of the Punjab peasant movement. Children, in order to protect the peasants of Punjab, the British government passed the Punjab Land Alienation Act in the year 1900. Now children, as per this act, the population of Punjab was divided into three categories. The first category was the agricultural class. The second category was the statutory agriculturist class. And the third category was the rest of the population, including the moneylenders. Now children, this division of the population made it easy for the British government to help the peasants. Is it clear? Children, one important feature of this act was that restrictions were imposed on the sale and mortgage of the land from the first category, that is from the agricultural class, which included the peasants, to the other two categories, that is the statutory agriculturist class and the rest of the population, including the moneylenders. So restrictions were imposed on the sale and mortgage of the land from the first category to the other two categories. Is it clear, children? Children, the passing of the Punjab Land Alienation Act in the year 1900 was only an experimental measure by the British government. The British government wanted to see whether this act would work out in Punjab, and if it works out, the government's plan was to apply the same to the rest of India. So children, the Punjab peasant movement brought some success to the peasants. So far, did you understand, children? Good. Next, let's learn about the Champaran Satyagraha. Children, the Champaran Satyagraha took place in the year 1917 and continued up to 1918. Children, this Satyagraha was led by Mahatma Gandhi to support the peasants of the Champaran region in Bihar. And children, this was the first Satyagraha movement led by Gandhi. Is it clear? Now, let's see the cause of the Champaran Satyagraha. Children, at that time, a system called Tinkatya system was followed in Champaran. Now, under this system, the peasants were bound or forced to grow indigo on 3/20th part of their land and send the same, that is the indigo, to the planters at a price fixed by them, and the price fixed by them was very low. So this was the cause of the Champaran Satyagraha. Is it clear? Now, let's see the effect of the Champaran Satyagraha. Now, children, since the peasants were dissatisfied with the European planters, they disobeyed the European planters. So, the European planters resorted to illegal and inhuman methods of torture on the peasants. And the peasants were liable to unlawful extortion and oppression by the planters. Children, extortion means using violence or threat to obtain money or property. So the peasants were threatened that if they disobey, their property would be taken away. So this was the effect of the Champaran Satyagraha. Is it clear, children? Next, let's see the result of the Champaran Satyagraha. Now, children, Mahatma Gandhi came to the rescue of the Champaran peasants. He took up their cause. Then the government appointed an enquiry commission of which Mahatma Gandhi was a member. Now, children, according to this commission, the grievances or the problems of the peasants were inquired, and ultimately the Champaran Agrarian Act was passed in May 1918. Children, this Champaran Act put an end to the British policy of allowing the European planters to force the farmers to plant indigo on their fertile lands. So this was the result of the Champaran Satyagraha. Is it clear, children? So children, I hope you understood all about Champaran Satyagraha. Good. Next, let's learn about the Kheda or the Kaira Satyagraha. Children, the Kheda Satyagraha took place in the year 1918 in the Kheda districts of Gujarat. Now children, this movement was led by Mahatma Gandhi. It was also supported by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Is it clear, children? Next, let's see the cause of the Kheda Satyagraha. Children, in the year 1918, in the Kheda district of Gujarat, agriculture failed and there was constant famine. Famine means scarcity of food. Now children, the peasants here suffered a lot and were not able to pay the revenue to the British government. In spite of the miserable condition of the peasants, the British officers insisted on full payment of the land revenue. Therefore, the local peasants gathered together and started a no-tax movement in the Kheda district under the leadership of Gandhiji. So children, this was the cause of the Kheda Satyagraha. Is it clear? Next, let's see the effect of the Kheda Satyagraha. Children, Gandhiji organized the peasants to offer Satyagraha and opposed official insistence on the full collection of oppressive land revenue despite the conditions of famine. So, Gandhiji gathered all the peasants and made them oppose on the full collection of the land revenue because they were facing a severe famine. Is it clear, children? Next, he inspired the peasants to be fearless and face all consequences. Children, usually the British government was very harsh on the peasants. So Gandhiji, he inspired, that is, he motivated the peasants to be bold and face all the consequences. Is it clear, children? So these are some of the effects of the Kheda Satyagraha. Next, let's see the result of the Kheda Satyagraha. Children, the response to this call was unprecedented. Unprecedented means it was never done before, and the government had to bow to a settlement with the peasants. So children, the British government had never seen such an agitation in India. So they had no other go but to accept the demands of the peasants. And children, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, an important supporter of the Kheda Satyagraha, also emerged as an important leader of the Indian freedom struggle during this period. So children, the Kheda Satyagraha was a great success to the peasants of Gujarat. Is it clear? So children, I hope you understood all about Kheda Satyagraha. Good. Next, let's learn about the Mapla revolt. Children, this movement took place in the year 1921 in the Malabar region of Kerala. Children, this movement was led by Variyam Kunnat Kunja Ahmed Haji and a few others. Is it clear? Next, let's see the cause of this rebellion. Children, the Malabar region of Kerala was inhabited by both Hindu zamindars called Janmis and the Muslim Mappilas. Now children, the main occupation of these Muslim Mappilas was agriculture. Is it clear? Children, these Muslim Mappilas were oppressed by the Hindu zamindars and British government in many ways. Now let's see in what way they were oppressed. See children, the British government appointed the high caste Hindus in positions of authority to get their support. Not only that, they were given authoritative positions, they were also made as the landlords or zamindars, and the Mappila Muslims were the tenants. Now these zamindars exploited the Mappila peasants by charging very high rents. Moreover, the peasants were deprived of security of tenure. That is, if the peasant had acquired a land for lease, say for about 10 years, the zamindar can remove him at any time, that is before his tenure gets over, if the peasant doesn't pay the rent to him. In this way, the Mappila peasants were oppressed, and this was the main cause of the Mappila rebellion. Is it clear, children? Now, let's see the effect of the Mappila rebellion. Children, the Mappila peasants got momentum, that is, they got support from the Malabar District Conference, which was held in the year 1920. Now, children, this conference supported the tenants' cause and demanded legislations, that is, laws to be framed for the regulations of landlord-tenant relationship. Then, in August 1921, the rebellion became more aggressive. The peasants rebelled against the oppressive zamindars. Children, in the initial stages, the Mappila peasants attacked the police stations, public offices, communications and houses of the oppressive landlords and moneylenders. Thus, there was a large-scale violence. So, this was the effect of the Mappila rebellion. Is it clear, children? And now, let's see the result of the Mappila rebellion. Children, by the end of the year, that is by December 1921, the government ruthlessly suppressed and crushed the Mappila rebellion. Children, the result of the Mappila rebellion is one of the greatest tragedies in Indian history, because according to an official estimate, as a result of the government intervention, 2,337 Mappila rebel leaders were killed, 1,650 Mappilas were wounded, and more than 45,000 were captured as prisoners. Thus, the Mappila rebellion had a very quick and sad ending. So, this was the result of the Mappila rebellion. So, children, did you understand about Mappila rebellion clearly? Good. Next, let's learn about the Bardoli Satyagraha. Children, the Bardoli Satyagraha started in the year 1929 and continued up to 1930. Children, this movement took place in the Bardoli district of Gujarat under the leadership of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Is it clear, children? Next, let's see the cause of the Bardoli Satyagraha. Children, suddenly the British government increased the tax rate by 30%. That is, the peasants had to pay 30% more than they were already paying. So, the peasants refused to pay the enhanced tax rate and started no tax campaign from the 12th of February 1928. That is, the farmers insisted that they will not pay any more tax to the government. Children, many women also participated in this campaign. So, the increased tax rate by 30% was the cause of this agitation. Is it clear, children? Next, let's see the effect of this movement. Children, in the year 1930, the agitation became aggressive. The peasants refused to pay the taxes. So, the government wanted to crush the revolt. So, it sent tax inspectors seized the property and cattle of the farmers through auction. As a result, many farmers lost their property, but still the farmers refused to submit to the government. So this was the effect of the Bardoli Satyagraha. Is it clear, children? Next, let's see the result of the Bardoli Satyagraha. Children, as the peasants refused to submit to the government, the British government had no other way. So it set up a commission to look into the matter. As a result of that, the tax rate was reduced to 6.03% and the lands of the peasants were returned. So this was the result of the Bardoli Satyagraha. Is it clear, children? So children, I hope you understood all about Bardoli Satyagraha. Good. Now children, here is a map which displays the places where the various peasants' movements took place. So observe carefully. The first peasant movement was the Santal rebellion, which took place in the region of the Rajmahal Hills in Bihar. The second one is the Indigo revolt, which took place in the Nadia district of Bengal. The third one is the Pabna revolt, which took place in the Pabna district of Bengal. The fourth one is the Deccan riots, which originated in the Pune district of Maharashtra. The fifth one is the Punjab peasant movement, which took place in the state of Punjab. The sixth one is the Champaran Satyagraha, which took place in the Champaran region of Bihar. The seventh one is the Kheda or the Kaira Satyagraha, which took place in the Kheda district of Gujarat. The eighth one is the Mapla rebellion, which took place in the Malabar region of Kerala. And the ninth one is the Bardoli Satyagraha, which took place in the Bardoli district of Gujarat. Is it clear, children? Children, I hope you understood this lesson, Rural Life and Society, clearly. Children, this is a very important lesson. So go through the videos again and learn from it. Keep reading, keep learning, keep safe until we meet in the next session. Thank you, children.